Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And we do have some pretty exciting stuff to go over today. That Pokemon Presents did happen over the weekend, and I think fans kind of went into this event with tempered expectations because Pokemon Legends just released, but no, it's far from over for Pokemon this year, and in fact, we had a major announcement, and really the Nintendo Switch in 2022, this is one of their best lineups yet, and that is saying a lot. Now also, Xbox Game Pass could potentially gain a major partner here that could change absolutely everything for them, especially over on PC. So we're going to talk about that one as well. To get this week started off though, we're going to be talking about Elden Ring, and one of the things about this game is that there has been a lot of excitement surrounding this game, and even more so considering it's been one of the best rated games of all time. So it's gaining even more traction because of that, which we'll kind of talk about here in just a moment. But how is all this translated in terms of sales? And well, I'm happy to say that Elden Ring looks like it has been a big success, or specifically over in the UK. This is coming from GameIndustry.biz, where they said Elden Ring is #1 in the GfK UK box charts this week and has smashed the launch sales of previous Souls-like games. The previous biggest Souls game launch at box retail was 2016's Dark Souls 3, but Elden Ring has beaten that title box launch by 26%. Now, something important to keep in consideration here is that this does not include digital game sales, and that is important because digital has grown quite significantly since 2016, so it's hard to tell just how much Elden Ring is outpacing all the other Souls entries here. But yes, Elden Ring has been a big success, specifically over in the UK, and more often than not, a lot of times when you see a game have a lot of success over in the UK, that's a good sign for the rest of the world as well. So it does look like the hype here has definitely translated to success, but at the same time, that is something that I have noticed a lot online. I've seen a lot of people kind of buy into the hype, especially with it reviewing so well, and then they go play this game and then they find out, well, I don't really like the Souls-like games, and then they go complain about it online. Listen, if you don't like the other Souls games, or if you don't like challenging games, then you're probably not going to like Elden Ring. It might be a little bit more accessible than maybe some of the other entries because of its open world nature. As an example, if you get stuck on a specific place, you can just go to a different location and play there instead. But at the end of the day, it's still challenging, and it's still from the Souls formula. So keep that in mind if you're going to buy into Elden Ring. Let's go and talk about PlayStation though, because something interesting did pop up over the weekend, and that is a new patent for accelerated ray tracing. This is coming from Mark Cerny, which is PlayStation's technical genius when it comes to PlayStation hardware, and based off of this patent here, it does describe how they can use shader processors to shorten rays, which will in return increase overall performance when ray tracing is turned on. So this could actually be a nice little boost for the PlayStation 5 if they implement this sometime in the future. I've also seen some people speculate that this might be for the quote-unquote PlayStation 5 Pro. I mean, technically, I guess it possibly could, but it is nice to see that they are trying to improve their ray tracing methods here. That was one of the big selling points for these next-generation platforms, the capability of the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 to actually implement ray tracing with some of these games. But unfortunately, as we're very much seeing right now so far, while ray tracing absolutely looks excellent, it does unfortunately have a major impact on performance, and because of that, a lot of fans have just opted out and going to performance mode, which gives you a smoother overall experience with most of the time 60 frames per second. Now, I will say that there has been a few games that has implemented ray tracing in a smart and intelligent way, and Sony has actually been one of the key publishers in doing just that. With both Spider-Man Miles Morales as well as Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, they did offer a ray tracing performance mode. Basically, what they did here is they cut the resolution down, that way they could implement ray tracing while also achieving that 60 frames per second benchmark, and it has turned out beautifully, especially with Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. That's actually how I played that game myself, and it really was just absolutely gorgeous, and honestly, I would like to see more games do that. But in this situation here with this accelerated ray tracing, maybe they can find a way to include ray tracing in more of these next generation games while retaining some of the performance that we've grown to expect with these games. All right, so we do need to talk about Xbox Game Pass today because they could potentially gain a major partner here that could change absolutely everything for them over on PC. Now, that is one thing that we have seen a lot with Xbox here in recent years. They have pushed more over towards PC. They release all of their games day and date on the PC. They have PC Game Pass, but one of the biggest problems that they've had over there is their storefront. The Windows Store does not have a good reputation, and while yes, they have improved things here in recent years, they have their own Xbox app on PC now, and this, that, and the other, they're still missing out on a lot of customers because those storefronts, they truly do matter, and this really shows with them now releasing their games directly into Steam. They basically said, okay, we've had enough, we're just going to release our games on Steam day and date, and since then, Xbox has quickly become one of the biggest PC publishers over on Steam. It's miraculous just how good of a job they're doing over on Steam, and it just goes to show you how important those storefronts are. But that's with their standalone games. But what about PC Game Pass? Could they potentially do something with PC Game Pass to expose it to even more fans? And, well, yes, they absolutely could. So check this out. Valve's president Gabe Newell was asked about Xbox Game Pass and having a subscription service similar to this on Steam. And just check out his response. I don't think it's something that we think we need to do ourselves, building a subscription service at this time. But for their customers, it's clearly a popular option, and we'd be more than happy to work with them to get that on Steam. That is a huge bombshell right now because Valve's basically putting the ball into Microsoft's court and saying, hey, we will let you do this, and we will even help you make this happen. All you got to do is agree. And that's kind of the question. Will Microsoft agree to bring Xbox Game Pass, or I'm sorry, PC Game Pass over to Steam? That remains to be seen, but I think this has so much potential. I mean, we're already seeing how much more success Xbox can have by releasing their games on Steam. As I said before, these storefronts, they truly do matter. And with something like PC Game Pass, I mean, Xbox, they want Game Pass to be everywhere, and right here is their opportunity. By putting PC Game Pass onto Steam, that would quite literally put them at the center of PC gaming. Steam is incredibly popular, and if PC Game Pass was on there, it would immediately give it much more recognition, and I think that it would also immediately inject a ton of new subscribers. And this is also beneficial for various other reasons as well. For one, that would mean that PC Game Pass would no longer be limited to just Windows. You'd be able to play PC Game Pass on other operating systems as well, which opens the door for access to something like the Steam Deck as an example. I mean, by that point, you would basically have a low-key Xbox handheld. You'd be able to purchase the Steam Deck, and right out of the box, it would be able to play something like PC Game Pass. That right there is already a big selling point. But beyond that, I mean, you'd also have access to more games. PC Game Pass is currently limited to the games that is accessible on their store. But if you were also available on Steam, well, then suddenly you'd have access to all of the games that are on Steam as well, which potentially means that you'd be able to get even more games into PC Game Pass that way. So that is another huge bonus. And this partnership just makes sense for everybody included here. We've heard in the past the claim that Xbox wants the Game Pass to be on every service possible, and this would be a huge partner. Xbox will automatically benefit from this. Steam and Valve will benefit from this, and most certainly fans will benefit from this as well. This is just a win-win-win solution here, so we'll see if this amounts to anything, but I really think that Phil Spencer needs to pick up the phone, talk to Gabe Newell, and say, hey, let's make this happen. Now, we've talked about PlayStation today, we've talked about Xbox today, but we also have some ginormous, huge news for the Nintendo Switch. And that's because over the weekend during Pokemon Presents, they announced Generation 9 for Pokemon. Now, we do typically get a new Pokemon generation every 3 or 4 years, but in this situation, a lot of fans went into this event with tempered expectations, myself included, because, I mean, just a couple months ago, we got Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and then just last month, we got Pokemon Legends Arceus. But they are not quite finished yet because they did confirm Generation 9, and it will be releasing in 2022. Yeah, it's coming out this year, and it's confirmed to be Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. The names here did actually pop out to me though, because this is the first time we've seen them go back to colors since I believe Pokemon Black and White. There was X and Y, then you had Sun and Moon, and then Sword and Shield. So here they are returning to colors once again, being Scarlet and Violet. So I thought that was actually kind of interesting right there. But the big part here that's garnering so much attention is that it does look like they're moving the mainline Pokemon games into a different direction. They did confirm in a statement that this is an open world game while also keeping the real thrill of the Pokemon series, such as fighting and capturing Pokemon. But as you can see, this looks very similar to Pokemon Legends Arceus. It does appear that they are using the same engine here, which makes sense because it looks like they was building these games side by side. It just looks like this will be more of your traditional Pokemon experience, which means that you're going to be traveling town to town, you're going to be participating in a lot more Pokemon battles, there's going to be gym battles or their equivalent, and this has so much potential. That's kind of the thing with me though, because if you asked me if I wanted Pokemon to go in this direction just 1 year ago, I would have been hesitant. I really am a huge Pokemon fan, and I do like the traditional formula, but after playing Pokemon Legends Arceus, I am sold on the potential of what this can do for Pokemon going forward. That is one of my favorite Pokemon experiences in a very long time, and my favorite thing about Legends Arceus is the challenge. Because the trainer battles in that game is actually challenging, it just makes it a much more engrossing experience. And I mean, for the first time since I've been a little kid, I actually lost in a trainer battle at the end of the game. I was not expecting that at all, but I absolutely loved it. And I do hope that Scarlet and Violet continues on with that challenge. I just think that there's so much potential there, especially with something like the Elite Four as an example, but we'll kind of see about all that. As you can see, there's obviously going to be a lot of questions when it comes to Scarlet and Violet, with them making a big change here, and especially after Legends Arceus just released and it pretty much being universally praised. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind that Legends Arceus is technically a spin-off, so it's a little bit different making sweeping changes to a game like that, and then doing that with the mainline entries where there's certain expectations, especially with the battle system. The battle system in both these games do work quite a bit differently, especially when you take into consideration that there is quite a competitive scene for the mainline entries. I mean, you have the held items and the abilities, and they do work quite a bit differently fundamentally. So we could just see them stick with the traditional format in terms of battle system here, but at the same time, make it a little bit more seamless like we saw in Legends Arceus. Like I said, there's still a lot of questions here that needs to be answered, but as we do learn more, I will of course keep you all updated, so make sure to subscribe to keep up to date with that. Now, a few things that we do know would be the starters, which includes a fire crocodile, which looks like Bubble Bobble's cousin a little bit here. We also have Donald Duck Jr. and a green cat. So there you have it, and for me, it's the red crocodile all the way, but let me know which starter you would pick in this game. And also, it does seem like this world will be set somewhere in Spain. Now, before I move on, I do have to say it's actually kind of insane what Nintendo has been doing pretty much since 2017, which was the launch for the Nintendo Switch. It's just been year in and year out. They have had great lineups of games, and I mean, just look at their lineup for 2022. I mean, you're talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet here. The possibility that Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 will be launching sometime this year. Pokemon Legends just released. You have Triangle Strategy, Live Alive, Mario Strikers is coming back. You have a new Fire Emblems game. There's Xenoblade 3, Splatoon 3, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. There's Switch Sports, Bayonetta 3, and I'm sure there's some games that we don't know about yet. We've been hearing a lot about that Metroid Prime Remaster as an example, and I mean, it just looks like 2022 could actually be their best year yet. It is insane what the Switch is doing, and for all that talk about the Nintendo Switch possibly being the best-selling console of all time, this will certainly help out with that if that turns out to be the case. Let's go and take a look at the poll of the day, though, and with us heading into March now, as I do with every month, I wanted to see what new game releasing in March are you most excited for. And it does look like there's a little bit of something for most fans out there, as you can see here, with 34% of you voting for Ghostwire Tokyo, then 19% of you voted for Gran Turismo 7, 13% for Triangle Strategy, then 11% for Final Fantasy Origin, and then 23% of you voted for Other. Now, in the comments, I saw several different games, including including Tiny Tina's Wonderland. There's also Tunic, and I don't know how I forgot this one, but yes, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I'm sorry for forgetting that one. I do apologize. But yeah, it's looking like yet another good month for pretty much everybody involved here. And whether you like action games, racing games, platformers, or JRPGs, there's just a little bit of something here for everybody. And it's looking like a fun month overall. It does look like quite a few of you all are looking forward to Ghostwire Tokyo, though, which is definitely interesting. That is coming from Tango Gameworks, which typically is known for making these more horror-like experiences, but you can actually see here with Ghostwire Tokyo, it's more of an action-driven title. I like how the combat is set up in this game, and it does look quite unique, though. I'll be interested to see how this one turns out for myself. So yeah, I'm with you all on this one. I think for me, it's going to come down to Ghostwire Tokyo, or maybe even Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I am a big fan of 3D platformers. Again, I have no idea how I forgot to put this on the list, but I very much am looking forward to Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Final Fantasy Origin, though, that one's a little bit of a dark horse for me right now, though. Just because, I mean, Final Fantasy is this huge franchise, and it is being built by Team Ninja. It feels like there's a lot of potential there, but it also doesn't seem like people are completely sold on this game yet. So I think the reviews for that game specifically will be incredibly important, and hopefully it turns out to be a good game. I'm crossing my fingers for this one because I am a big Final Fantasy fan, but we'll kind of see how all this plays out. Nonetheless, March is looking like yet another fun month for gamers. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.